Welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. Do you have time for a cup of tea with me? Wouldn't that be great? But I welcome you, and if you're brand new, you are so welcome. Welcome to the Homekeepers family. And in this ministry, it's my great honor to meet so many women who are making a difference. You know, the news is usually all bad, but there's some good news out there, and that's that God's kingdom is progressing right along. And the women in His kingdom are doing a variety of things that really help people along. That's really what it's all about. So today you're going to meet two guests. We usually have one. Diane Cunningham is an author, and she's also a life coach. I believe that's what they call it. And someone who helps someone else along the way. It's an interesting interview. I hope you'll just listen into it, because I think there are things in it that could be helpful to you. And then the second one is Amy Stevens. She is a gorgeous young, she's a light bulb. You will love just seeing her smile. And she really puts a lot of energy out and loves the Lord and has stayed true to Him from childhood. And I met both of these gals just a few weeks ago as they were participating in Growth in Faith, which is a wonderful ministry here once a year in the Tampa Bay area. It brings in such a variety of speakers and singers, and so it was my privilege to go to the Caris bookstore, First Baptist, Indian Rocks, Florida, and sit down and talk to both of these ladies. And I really do think that they will uplift you and energize you. And you will hear from both of them today. And then after this interview, I'm going to meet Wanda in the kitchen. We're going to fix a poppy seed chicken. Doesn't that just sound good? It looks good. It smells good. Anxious to show it to you. And so this is going to be a very, very full program. So right now we want to go to the interview I had with Diane Cunningham. You're going to find her very informative, very interesting, and I think it will be very helpful to you. So take a look here. Well, Diane, what an interesting life you're living.
Yes.
Just going over some of the things you're involved in now. You're an author. What's the book about?
It's called Dreams and Goals for Grown-Ups, because lots of grown-ups have lost theirs. So I figured I'd write a little book about it.
Man, I need to read that one, because I think I'm grown up now. As many grandchildren as I have. But that's a good idea.
Thank you.
People do kind of lose goals and certainly dreams, I think, after they get a certain age.
Yeah, it started out of a seminar that I gave at my church and has evolved, and I've given the seminar numerous times, so I figured I'd put it in a little package, so in case you can't make it to the seminar, you can buy the book.
I always remembered that Colonel Sanders made his money after he was 70. So,
good. There's still hope.
So you're right on there. Okay, and you have a podcast.
Yes.
What is it? I've heard the word, but
okay,
maybe you can educate a lot of people like me.
I would love to do that. It is like an online radio show, and you don't need to have an iPod to listen to it. All you need is your computer. You go to a website, and you click on a regular button, and you start hearing me speak. And mine is called Coffee Conversations. You can find it on www.thepurposeplace.com. And so it's really neat, because you don't have to tune in at a special time to hear it. You tune in when you want.
Do you get feedback from it?
I do. I've got people listening all around the United States, Afghanistan, all different countries, Japan. It's really amazing.
Now, this is interesting to me that you are a certified life purpose coach, speaker, and consultant, and life plan facilitator with Pathway to Purpose, which I am familiar with. But I think to a lot of people, maybe including me, the term a life coach is kind of new. How does that differ from being a mentor?
Good question. It has evolved from the consulting field and some from the counseling field, and you really are a mentor of sorts and an accountability partner. We walk alongside of a person. We don't act as if we have more knowledge or more skill in any way. We walk with you and help you to look into your life. And whereas a counselor is perceived as the expert. And there's a lot of boundary differences. You can't meet your client at a coffee shop if you're a counselor. As a coach now, I can meet my clients for lunch, coffee, I send them birthday cards, and hang out if I want to. And I love it.
Yeah, I really like the concept, and as I was going through Katie's book
Yes.
a little bit, I thought, that would have been nice when I was a lot younger.
Yes.
I hope that gals kind of can plug into this. Now, what areas of life do you cover? If I came to you,
Okay.
where do we start?
Well, we would start with just kind of I would do an inspiration appointment with you. It's really a free consult to figure out where you are and where you've been. We do a form I call the reality check, and to see really what's going well, what's not going well, and where you need to move to improve. And then we'd plug into probably the Conversations on Purpose book by Katie Brazelton and work through 10 conversations together to really dive into what God has done for you and where He's sending you.
So it's could be wrapped up in mentor or disciple. Jesus said, "Go make disciples."
Exactly.
And that's what it sounds a little bit like what you're doing. Can you give the prototype of someone who seeks you out? There are a lot of people who are not even curious about their own life.
Yes, but luckily there are a lot of people that are, and I have women I meet with in person. I have a place called the Life Purpose Center in Texas, and then I meet with a lot of women over the phone. A lot of coaching is done by phone, and I have women all the way from, I'm going to guess she's 66, to young mothers in their early 20s that are still searching or, not sure what is in store for them, and empty nesters. So I cover it all and really just find out where she is and where she's hurting.
Is there a cutoff place?
For coaching? Most coaching begins with a 3-month commitment, or at least the 10 conversations as the basic. And then I do shorter, I do seminars and workshops. So if somebody wants to get a little taste, they would probably come to a seminar and check me out and then decide if the coaching experience was what they wanted.
I've always told audiences and so forth, if it was appropriate, that I so believe in Christian counseling and never bypass the wonderful counselor. No one can beat that. But it seems that there ought to be a place where you don't need it anymore.
Yes, I agree. And that's exactly what coaching...
Have you ever had to tell somebody,
You've
I
graduated.
think we've gone as far, okay.
Yes. And
here's your diploma.
Yeah, I give out certificates. Yes, and coaching is really that. It's a check-in place. And, okay, go fly. Go fly. And if you need to come back in a year, come back and we'll do a little redo, a recheck. And then you go fly again.
That sounds like a great program. Can you, and if I meant to give you this question ahead of time because I think people like to think about it, but I forgot to. Is there one really dramatic result that stands out in your mind of all the women that you...
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I'm glad you could come up with just like that.
I do have one. One of the clients I've been working with, her name is Anna, and she had a website design business with her husband. And it was a Christian business. They helped other Christians begin their business. But as we were working through the coaching, she realized that this was not, she didn't feel the passion. I mean, this was her job, but it wasn't a passionate. And that her passion was to create a women's Christian magazine. And I have seen that birthed. The first edition just came out. I'm one of the writers now for her magazine called Empowered. And so it was really amazing just to hear her go through that process and like birth. It was like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon.
That's exciting.
It is.
Really. You are a military wife, and after 9/11, I kind of told the Lord that I don't ever again want to encounter someone in the military or a fireman or a policeman that I don't go up and say, thank you. I just, my heart gets weepy when I see these wonderful people. What's that like?
Well, he has been deployed twice, once to Afghanistan and once to Iraq. and those were challenging times. I was lucky in that he only went for 4 months at a time, and he is in the nursing field, so he was very safe when he was there. I didn't ever have to worry, other than, of course, you worry.
Sure you do.
But I didn't worry that he was out on the front lines. And he really feels that it's what he's called to do, and that he's using his skills, his God-given skills, to minister with medicine. And he was able to help a lot of people. But yes, it is a challenge to be that one that stays behind, stays home.
Lots of praying, I would think.
Lots of praying and lots of waiting for the next phone call.
Is the overall military community pretty tight?
It really is. It's a big family.
A lot of support.
A lot of support. It's a big family, and you end up having family in all over the world that you know, gosh, we'll see them again in a few years and be together again.
Well, I thank you for taking time to talk to me, and also to remind the viewers, we've got to keep praying for our troops.
We do.
And God bless you for this wonderful one-on-one. I think so often of what Jesus said, go make disciples, you know. We talk about decisions for Christ and those kind of things. We use decision more than we do surrender, but when you really think that's just about the last thing he said was to go make disciples, and that really, truly only happens one-on-one. That's the way he did it.
Yeah, and Jesus was so good at asking questions and just having people look into their life.
And this is what you do, basically forces people to dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper, take another step.
I hope a lot of women take advantage. As I said, I wish something like this had been around when I was younger, that kind of forces you to look ahead a little more.
Right.
It's a great ministry. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I hope you got a lot out of that interview, because I thought she made some great points. And then you're going to meet Amy Stevens in just a few minutes. But Wanda and I are going to fix poppy seed chicken. So
yeah, it's actually called Granny's poppy seed chicken.
Who's the granny?
I don't know, but it's probably Susan's granny. Because she got it. I got the recipe from my daughter-in-law, who's best friends with Susan.
Oh, okay.
And Susan, yeah. And so you know it's got to be good if it's passed down. So
yes.
My daughter-in-law said how wonderful it is.
Oh, this is Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes.
I'm making all kinds of noise over here. And I am crunching up 1 sleeve of Ritz crackers.
Yeah. And what I'm doing here is, well, first of all, I guess you take 6 chicken breasts. Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. We decided to cut the chicken breast in half to do them for 2 recipes.
These were huge chicken breasts.
Yeah, they were big. They were large. And so, now you can, if you want to, boil your chicken until it's done and then shred it, and then you can mix your what I'm going to do right now is mix the sauce mixture for it, which is 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and then an 8-ounce tub of sour cream.
Oh, just that much of it sounds good.
You know what? And that's always a real good. You didn't hear that, did you?
Somebody needs to empty our
garbage
trash back
can is
there.
full. But this is really a wonderful recipe. And you know, I was talking with Warren, our camera guy, who does a lot of cooking. There's different toppings you can make with this.
Oh yeah, I guess you could be just kind of innovative on it.
You can. You can use, if you don't like Ritz crackers, you can use the
saltines. No. What else?
Well, I don't know if I'd use the saltines. I don't think they'd give much flavor. But you know the stuffing, the herb flavored stuffings?
Yes.
You can buy them already crushed.
We do that on another recipe. I'll pick up this can she dropped.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing that for me. So I mean, there's a lot of variation. You just use about a cup of that, and then I always add a little poultry seasoning to that. To that, so it'll have added just a little more flavor.
You're talking about the
I'm talking about just the topping.
Oh, okay.
To replace the Ritz crackers if you don't like them. There's many different variations you could do. If you really really wanted to do something different, you could always do stovetop stuffing if you wanted to.
The thing is,
there's just a variety of different things you can do.
You can really fix a wonderful entree.
Yes.
Like this, and it feeds quite a few people, and it's not all that expensive.
No.
So.
And you know, we've had simple variations, very similar variations of this whole thing. So basically all you do is add your cream of chicken soup with your sour cream, mix that together. Now you were kind enough to do this for me ahead of time.
I did the hard part.
She did the hard part. And so now I'm just gonna sprinkle this over the top.
That's what makes it so crunchy.
Really, really yummy.
Then it's hard to explain poppy seeds, right?
I mean, yeah,
What they add. Really, it's a different.
And then I have about a little over a teaspoon, quite frankly. And then I just sprinkle them over the top.
And that's what it looks like. And if you think I'm going to taste anything that hot in front of this camera
No, you'll
or
burn.
any place else,
Yep.
I'm not going to do it.
And then you just pour your melted butter over the top of it and bake it. Now, because I didn't boil the chicken ahead of time, you have to bake it a little bit longer. But if you decide to boil it up, it only takes 30 minutes to heat it up and you're about done. Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You want to make sure your chicken's well done. And if you want this recipe, we will certainly send it to you for that gift of at least $5. It's coming up on the screen. And now I want you to meet Amy Stevens. You're going to find what the word delightful means.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, please send your request along with a gift of $5 or more to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758.
Amy, from what I know about you, was your dad a pastor?
He's a chaplain, actually.
A
He
chaplain,
still is.
okay. And you chose to follow Christ at a very young age, and you stuck with him, didn't you? Not
He
perfectly.
stuck with me. I think it was more like that.
Yeah. I'm not saying you were perfect, but I want to make the point of sometimes we hear these great testimonies how people go to the depths and come back, and thank
Right.
God for that.
Right.
But the greater one is, I think, when God keeps you and you choose to stay with Him. Is that basically your story?
You know, I used to pray, God, I don't have a testimony. Give me a testimony.
He'll give you a
And
test.
Exactly. I accepted Christ when I was very young. My parents lived the life, and I knew that they loved God and that living for God was really the only way to truly live, you know? And so when I was 5, I remember asking Christ into my heart. But it wasn't until I was about 14 that I said, God, I don't give you just now. I want you to have the whole life, and I want to see what you can do through a life. And it has been an adventure ever since.
So you can point to that moment.
Definitely.
I think that's,
Definitely.
I wish every child had that
I wish every
before they go
person
into
did.
their teenage years,
Oh, yeah.
that they make that, they
yeah.
make that commitment. So was your dad in the military?
He still is, actually.
Okay,
He
and
is.
you lived in Japan for a while?
And we lived in Iceland, and outside of where we lived, we also traveled a lot.
Isn't that a wonderful life, really?
And I didn't even realize how much God would use that now that I'm traveling, and I see how normal it is for me to just get on an airplane and go to a different country, and just how God uses the things in your past, and you never know how He's going to use that for your future.
You didn't waste anything.
So no, nothing.
And I read that you traveled with the Continental Singers.
Right?
My daughter was harpist for the Continental.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Continental Orchestra.
Wow. I didn't even know they had one of those.
Yeah, that was probably before you
Oh, okay.
got involved, but they did used to have a big orchestra, and that is a wonderful experience.
It was. It was actually an answer to prayer that I had prayed in 10th grade, and touring with the Jeremiah people was after the Continental Singers, and it was an amazing experience and kind of jump-started me for the rest of what God would have after that, of touring at churches and stuff. So.
There's nothing like singing and doing your thing every night to really hone sharp a craft. And no doubt that's paying off big time since you are solo artist.
You know, a lot of what I do is the music and the speaking. And so the leading worship has definitely picked up a lot. But I find that one of the biggest things is just learning how to prepare your heart in any situation, and knowing that it's not about, you know, what you can get up and perform. There was one time that I will always remember as a warning, where I got up on stage and my heart wasn't right, and it was like the loneliest night. And I got off stage and I said, Lord, I never want to do that again. In fact, I don't even want to get up on stage if there's a chance of that. And
how do you prepare your heart?
You know, I personally like to get on my knees because it reminds me of where I am before God. And I like to just say, God, change my heart. What do you see in my heart that is sin? What do you see in my heart that needs to change? And God, I don't know these people out here. What do you want to say to them? How do you just shine through everything in me, through my facial expressions? I'm ready to let you lead. And normally it's just making sure that I don't feel prepared. I mean, in the way of prepared, yes, but that I don't feel like I can go out there alone. Because
now, were you the head of a women's ministry in a church?
I was the worship director at Pacific Baptist Church in El Segundo, California, and then I also was the women's director there. Loved it. It was.
You seem kind of young for a director of a women's ministry.
I agree.
Were you?
I was like, what? But no, God has just, you know, I think part of the adventure is realizing that we don't deserve anything. No matter the age we're at, we're never fully prepared for anything that we do. And if God says, I want you in this, He uses the weak things, and His strength is made perfect in our weakness. So,
describe a little bit what's going on in your ministry right now. You travel and you sing in churches and you speak. So what do you talk about?
Well, it's not only churches, so it really depends on the audience and who is bringing me over. A lot of what I do is speaking overseas to the military bases and at those chapels, and then not only that, but internationally, and then at churches, and it's probably going to be opening up more in youth conferences. But it really depends on the crowd. But right now, one of the themes that I've been speaking on is the freedom to become. And that's comparing the difference between living a life to do for God and compared to what God really designed us to do, which is to become like Him. To become like Him. That it's not about finding ourselves. It's about finding who He is and modeling ourselves after that.
That's good. That's
so
rich.
I'm so excited. Rich. I'm just so excited about it.
So you minister in overseas to the military?
Yes, ma'am. And
when they're in, I don't know what areas you've gone into, but when they're in those battle areas, and there are ways, I know, to reach them, they get pretty serious about God, don't they?
They do. There's not an atheist in a foxhole. I actually don't get to go in those areas, although I hope to in the future, but I get to work with a lot of the people that have been left behind, and their husbands are overseas, or their family members are overseas, and the base, you know, that has these battalions that they're hoping come home. And it is so neat, though, to see the hunger for God when you're in a desperate need. And when you realize that
when He gets our attention.
Exactly. When you're out of control. There's nothing you can do. And you have to depend on Christ's strength. And there is just such a depth of hunger that the women at the women's conferences have. And
they wouldn't be there if they didn't.
Exactly. It's an effort for them to leave their children when their husbands are gone and everything. So.
Well, you're a breath of fresh air. Let me tell you, a breath of springtime.
Praise
and
God.
I just can tell, really, I can tell that you do want to become everything that God has in mind for you, and I hope that's contagious. That it'll go right through the camera to the ladies who are watching. Thanks a lot for taking time to talk to me.
My pleasure.
Okay.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Arthelen would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
All right, wasn't she great? I have a couple of her CDs here. You might look for those in the Christian bookstores. And as I said at the beginning of the program, it's a thrill for me to be able to bring these people along. They can encourage you, tell you what they're doing, and kind of let us know that there's more going on out there than just in our own little world. I want to give you the address and the telephone number for Homekeepers. We are viewer supported. When you think about it, every program is viewer supported. You might get some Campbell's soup in your support or some other kind of a sponsor, but when you give to Homekeepers, you kind of avoid the middleman. It comes straight to the ministry, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. And the only thing I've ever really asked is that what the Holy Spirit tells you to give, you give that. You will be blessed, we will be blessed, and every need will be met. That's the way it works. I'm not into a lot of other types of fundraising and all. This is what I believe God has called me to do. And when you read some of the letters, you know what that you're following the Lord. Here's one from Pennsylvania. This morning I was up to take my 6 a.m. walk, and it was pouring outside. Instead, I turned on the Sky Angel to your show, Homekeepers. I was truly blessed by a lady who gave her testimony about her 27-year marriage. I've been married to my husband for 30 years. The first years were very difficult. Neither of us knew how to be good partners. Thankfully, with the commitment we each had to the Lord and each other, we have grown over the years and learned much. We took every opportunity availed us to strengthen our marriage. Today, I can say that my husband is truly my best friend. We are more in love today than 30 years ago. Oh, that's part of our message, friends. Don't give up. We want to encourage you along the way for the very best in your marriage, you're raising your children, and your own personal life. That's why we're here. I thank you for being with me today, and please join us next time. Until then, remember, there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you would like a video copy of today's Homekeepers program for just $19.95, call 1-800-229-0059 for credit card orders, or send a gift of at least $19.95 to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Be sure to note the program number which appears on your screen.